I don't even want to talk right now. It's so good.
Hello, total strangers. I'm Mandy Lee again. It's that time of the year again, and everyone needs a go-to, really comforting dish to kind of support them gastronomically, but also emotionally through this cold season. And today, I think I have just the thing. So first thing, super important, we're gonna brown these oxtails really well in the skillet. You can use other cuts of meat you want. Chicken, pork, it doesn't really matter. Every time when I'm browning something, I'm always have my mitt on. I don't care if it looks funny or whatever. I don't like pain, okay? I don't like sizzling hot oil on my skin. So I'm gonna add maybe 2 tablespoons of like vegetable oil. And then I'm going to add also 1 tablespoon of toasted sesame seed oil, okay? Sesame oil is a very common cooking oil in Korea. It gives it that nuttiness. You know, instead of like, you know, a few drops, you know, in the end, they actually cook with them. I'm not gonna season my meat. Actually, I'm going to brown them as they are, okay? Because it's going to be braised for a long time and the meat is gonna absorb that, all the other seasonings that we're gonna add later on, so it's fine, okay. So do not crowd your pan. That is the secret of a really good browning, is that you wanna give it enough room to breathe. That's about as crowded as you want the pot to be. And don't move them around. If you like keep moving them around, you're only just going to kind of risk them giving out too much water and moisture before they start browning, and they're just gonna be kind of steaming. So don't move them for like a couple minutes, and then flip one side and check if it's gray, and if it's gray, then turn them at that point. Nice, gorgeously brown, and then I'm gonna add my shallot and garlic. I'm using shallots instead of onions because it's sharper. It has a more punch, I would say, than just like normal onion. It's gonna sweat, and then it's gonna basically release all the brown bits that, you know, we work so hard to gather. And then now, gochujang, okay? This is a pretty common ingredient nowadays. It's basically Korean fermented chili paste. I'm gonna add that in because I want to actually cook the paste a little bit before I add liquid. And it's this like sticky kind of, you know, like tomato pasty consistency, because it has like rice powder. It has actually like sticky rice in there. So it's also going to thicken up your stew a little bit. And this is also when I'm going to add my spice mix. It's like a mixture of black pepper, allspice, cumin, fennel, and Sichuan peppercorn. So that spice mixture is going to give it, I guess, more complexity to the stew. So it's not always so just like kind of this like one note, you know, sweet chili kind of a flavor. It's gonna have a little bit of complexity and oomph in the background. I'm going to calm everything down with half a cup of rice wine. This is typical Chinese rice wine. You can use Korean rice wine. It's all fine. And I'm gonna let it simmer just for a minute or so, okay? And also, I'm going to add my fish sauce. I always use fish sauce whenever I can instead of salt, okay? I've explained this before. It just makes stuff taste better. So now that's in, I'm going to add 8 cups of water. I'm gonna give it a stir. And this is where I add my dry beans. Again, I did not soak them beforehand because The dry beans takes about as much time to get cooked without soaking as the oxtail. So they kind of sync up really well. So you can see that I didn't add a lot of beans. I'm not looking for a chili consistency. I don't want it to be like super thick and dense. I want it still to be soupy. The beans are there just to kind of add substance to hardiness to the stew. But if you want it to be more like a chili texture, or you want to like it thicker, you can certainly add more. I only added 1 cup. So you can also use canned beans as well. That is totally up to you. This is gonna go into 300 Fahrenheit, sorry. So 300 degrees Fahrenheit oven for about, I'm gonna check them on, at 2.5 hours, and then see if it needs a little bit longer, but it's gonna take a while. And usually I would do this in my pressure cooker, which takes 1 hour only, but my pressure cooker break down on me, which is fine because it's great to show you people who don't have pressure cooker, how to do it. Now I'm just gonna wait for it to come back to a simmer, just give it a head start, and then transfer that into the oven. So it's been in the oven for about 3 hours, and it's came out beautiful. Then oxtail is just starting to become super tender and almost falling off the bone, and the beans are just softened up but not broken up, which is how you want them to be. Since it's getting late and I'm losing natural light, so I'm actually going to show you how to finish this tomorrow, and that's when the last step where the kimchi gonna come in. I'm adding the kimchi at the last stage because I want them to stay kind of still a bit crunchy. I don't want them to be mushy or melt into the stew. So, and which is kind of perfect because like any other stew, this is only gonna get better with time. So if you can, I would actually encourage you to proceed to this step and a day or a couple days ahead of time, and then leave yourself maybe like 30 minutes before serving to finish the last step that I'm going to show you tomorrow. So yeah, see ya. Hi, so next day, right? Or whichever day that you are preparing to serve this, 20 minutes beforehand, 20 minutes before serving actually, we're gonna add our kimchi, okay? So here's the kimchi. I prefer to buy kimchi that is still whole, like, unchopped, because I just like to chop it on myself. But you can use any other kimchi you like. You can see that I basically chopped them into like very, very uneven sizes, right? They're like sometimes big pieces and there's like little small ones throughout. That's exactly what I want, okay? So now I'm gonna add it into the soup. I like my kimchi to still have a bit of crunch in it. I don't want it to be completely fresh. I want to cook it down, soften it up just a little, but I don't want it to be too mushy. So usually I just add them in the last 20 minutes and I let them cook for 20 minutes in there, and that's about the consistency that I prefer. And then meanwhile, I'm gonna preheat my broiler on high, and then also I'm going to prepare my bread. So I'm going to turn the heat down, medium low, let it simmer away. I have a half loaf of sourdough here. You don't need to use sourdough, but you really do want a sturdy piece of bread. You don't want something that's gonna just melt into the soup without a trace, okay? So something that's crusty, nice and crusty, okay? And this is the bowl that I'm gonna use, and I usually like to kind of cut the bread in a way that, it fit nicely into the bowl. So it really depends on what kind of serving dish that you're using. And I like to cut it maybe like 3/4 of an inch thick. Right now, it's not really going to fit that well. So I'm going to cut this, you know, in a way that it'll fit better. There, I think that's fine. And then I'm also going to toast these first because I want it to get nice and toasty, and at the same time I want to extract some of those excess moisture inside the bread to make space for, you know, the seasoned, the flavorful soup, you know, to be stuck into the bread. And I also find that toasted bread lasts a bit longer in the soup instead of, you know, becoming too mushy too quickly. So I'm just gonna pop these into the toaster really fast. Then let's talk about cheese. Unfortunately, in Hong Kong, unless you go to like a specialty food store or like a really fancy supermarket, it's not very easy to get a lot of cheese selection. But here I have like a mixture of shredded cheddar and then Emmental. Okay, so something that's melty. Usually, like I was aiming for a Gruyere cheese, but I couldn't find it in my supermarket. So I'm right now just using like a combination of Emmental and cheddar. But you can, if you have like a nice Gruyere cheese, that's what I would do, like a French onion soup. So I don't really need a lot, like, you know, you can see like it's like a big handful, I think. Okay, so that's gonna go on top of the bread, and it's gonna melt really nicely. Last but not least, I like to add just a little bit of herbs on the top. I just like chop it into like very thin strips. And that's gonna go on after the cheese, and then it's gonna just get broiled up really nicely. So I'm going to have a little bit of everything, right? You know, like one big piece of oxtail, soup, kimchi, beans, you get it all in there. So I'm just gonna place my bowl on a baking sheet, and then I'm gonna start layering up the toppings. So first I have my toasted bread, and I'm going to actually smear just a little bit of Dijon mustard on top. You see what I'm doing right now is I'm creating little distinct areas of different flavors. After I smear it with a little bit of mustard, I'm gonna set it on top. Once I've done that, it's time for the cheese. So once that's on, I'm going to sprinkle just a bit of that shiso here and there. And then if you are a spice lover, like I am, I would just sprinkle just a little bit of pepper flakes, chili flakes on top. Like I said, you can see I'm creating like little areas of surprises here. So, but you know, if it's too spicy for you, if that stew, just gochujang is actually not that spicy, but it's, you know, if you have a low tolerance, that may be enough for you. So you don't have to. And then that's it. It's ready to go in the oven. And then until it's nice and melty and toasty, I'll show you what it looks like. Right out of the oven, it's gorgeous. An oxtail kimchi bean stew topped with crusty bread and melted cheese. I mean, you know this can't be bad, right? So I'm going in. It's still really, really hot. It's just like a warm hug, you know, plus a blanket, plus a joke, that kind of feeling. I don't even want to talk right now. It's so good. I hope you like this dish. Make it. Let me know what you think. I really can't possibly think what could go wrong in this recipe. I mean, I feel like even at its worst, it's going to taste pretty good anyway. So guys, let me know. I hope you like it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.